KHTS, Carl Goldman here this Thursday morning, getting ready for the holidays. It's so amazing to drive on the 14 freeway and not have to hit the brakes. So I'm happy the holidays are here, especially as we commute. It's our pleasure right now. We're going to take the next 15, 20 minutes and chat with our newest Assembly member, Christy Smith. Welcome.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, and also Devin Miller's here from our news department. So Christy took over office about 5 minutes ago. No, early December.
Yeah, early December. We were sworn in first week in December. Mm-hmm.
An exciting times.
It's very exciting. As I've said when I came on previously, it's a privilege to be able to do this job. The welcome that we have received across the communities of the 38th has been wonderful and warm, and people are extending their gratitude for the meetings we have been able to take and their patience knowing that we're still getting up and running. And we're trying to get with everyone as soon as we can.
Awesome. So we thought we'd take a few minutes and thank you for joining us just to find out your first impressions and really capture those in your first couple weeks up in Sacramento. So why don't you walk us through that a little bit?
Sure. Swearing in day is amazing. It is really fun to be on the floor of the assembly, not only with my future colleagues, but their families as well. And there's a real air of excitement, at being sworn in. And even amongst folks, my colleagues who have been there for a number of terms now, it's just as exciting to them to be sworn in every time and really realizing the privilege again to be able to serve. So it was a great day. It was a busy day. So we're sworn in. And then there are a number of social events and activities. I realized by the end of the day, the only time I had sat down at all the whole day was during the actual session where we voted on a few measures. But it was wonderful. We are getting a staff situated in the Sacramento office, staff situated here in the district office, and it's an exciting time. And falling at the holidays, too, which adds, of course, lights and bells and whistles to everything.
And then you were up there with our other politicians. Senator Wilk was there, I'm sure.
Senator Wilk, Senator Stern, and the Senate goes through their process and procedure at the same time the Assembly does. So I didn't get to see them being sworn in, but I've been told they are official again as well.
And Assemblyman Lackey.
And Assemblyman Lackey, and I got to spend a few minutes with him. Look forward to working with him on
Did you
some
get
of
to
the
meet
issues we have in
Senator
common.
Stern's dad?
I've met him before, and his mom. His mom is actually a lovely person.
Well, his dad is in the iconic movie Home Alone.
Home Alone, yes, the iconic holiday movie. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is coming up again as we see
I'm sure we'll all see it, right, yeah.
But his dad, for those listening, his dad played one of the villains in Home Alone, and the famous scenes of getting tortured throughout the house as they try to break in. Yeah, classic video.
Actor Daniel Stern. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what were your big aha moments up there? What surprised you?
The extent to which I have a great number of people to help me now. We were a small but mighty campaign, and everybody did a lot of heavy lifting, and so there were a number of things that I ended up doing on my own, which I don't mind. I've never been averse to hard work, but how very welcoming people are and supportive of us being successful in representing the district has been tremendous.
Yeah, and I think this is, certainly since I've been here, this is a first where we've had on the Assembly side, had a Democrat, and then on our main part of the state senator side with Senator Wilk, a Republican, and I know in the past with the Assembly and the Assembly members and the senators have worked closely together, and I know that will happen again with you and Senator Wilk.
We will have to, because any bill either of us puts forward needs a carrier in that other legislative body. And so I've already had a great coffee meeting with Senator Wilk. He reached out and we met. I'm sure we'll continue to work together on all of the things that impact the communities, and it'll be a good partnership. And with Senator Stern as well as Assemblymember Lackey, who does have a portion of Santa Clarita Valley.
So I've asked all the easy questions, Devin. Now we'll let the news department take over with a couple. What questions do you have?
Thank you, Carl. So you've kind of had a few weeks now to get settled in, and I remember in our last conversation you were meeting with stakeholders. So what has come with those meetings, and what have you kind of started getting in the works so far as like priorities for legislation?
Sure. Well, one of the things I mentioned when I was here before was public safety. And so in meeting with officials at College of the Canyons, understanding that funding is being significantly reduced for housing our police academy at our community college and a few community colleges across the state. So that's something I went right to work on, looking at the community college funding formula, especially given its expanding mission in the state of California. California as not only, a gateway to state universities and colleges, but, a really predominant role in job training and job retraining. And so making sure that they're funded adequately to be able to fulfill that mission is something we're going to start working on. Support of public safety officers. So we've already met with some law enforcement officials in Simi Valley. We'll do the same here in Santa Clarita with our sheriff's department, making sure that those folks have everything they need. I had a great stakeholder meeting with Katie Hill, with the local chamber, economic development, and city leadership. And so there are going to be some things out of that drive our legislative agenda. But I'm looking forward to getting all of that going. We should have our committee assignments sometime this week, so I'll have an idea of where my primary assignments will be. And then by the end of January, we should have our legislative agenda pretty fleshed out.
And actually, speaking of committee assignments, I know they aren't assigned yet, but what are you hoping for? Like, what have you asked for, like, to get positions in?
Yeah, I did ask for education, something related to jobs and the economy. We have so many great opportunities here for local economic development, making sure I can have play a supporting role in that. Anything related to public safety is something I'm interested in, supporting our first responders and other committees as assigned. I mean, as we all know, there's no shortage of challenges here in the state, and I'm a policy wonk, so if you give me the assignment, I'm going to do the homework and come to the table prepared, but looking forward to seeing what I end up on.
And actually, speaking of policy, you not only were a member of the Newhall Board, but you actually worked, I believe, in the state and federal education field as well.
Right. Early in my career, I was at the U.S. Department of Education as an analyst, and it was kind of a dual role. I was in the office of the undersecretary, so I was assigned to some of the special initiatives of then President Clinton, and I was also assigned to researching federal education programs to test their efficacy.
We're chatting with Assemblywoman Christy Smith here on your hometown station. Carl Goldman here along with Devin Miller in the news department. I've been tossing the easy questions, Devin the tough ones. Go ahead, Devin. I just want to reestablish who we're talking with.
No, thank you. So education and public safety are your priorities.
Transportation here locally is, making sure that we get our community's share of local transportation dollars, figuring out what will be the future of high-speed rail and how it impacts this community or not, because right now, as it's intended, it really doesn't bring good things for the 38th district, so we need to take a hard look at that.
That's good to hear you say that, too, because I know the high-speed rail has certainly created challenges in at least the planning for here in Santa Clarita.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm fully in support of Senator Wilk's bill that he got out early in this session around transparency. You know, every meeting of the High-Speed Rail Authority really should be public, especially because of the significant cost overruns, the changes to routes that impact communities like ours. So looking forward to partnering with him and supporting that.
So with all of our KHTS trips up to Sacramento over the years, we've seen the dysfunction that can take place up there. And a lot of that, I believe, has come from the polarization on both sides of the aisle, the Republican side and the Democratic side. We've had representatives over the years who have tried to be centrist, whether they were Republicans, starting with our Assemblyman Keith Richmond, Cameron Smythe, Scott Wilk. And so from your side, how do you find yourself positioning yourself in that tug of war between being pulled to the left, pulled to the polarization side, and trying to split that middle and be a real centrist?
Right. No, what I'm always going to be pulled to is what constitutes good public policy. Does it make sense? Does it fix an existing gap in a code or a law? Is it something that we can fund and afford? Is it an absolute necessity? Does it constitute the best use of public dollars and resources? And I'm going to be looking at everything with a pretty wide lens for unintended consequences down the road. Is this a bill or a piece of legislation that's going to end up in the court system costing, millions in litigation over years? So, taking a holistic approach to public policy and working with my colleagues who really want to solve problems for our communities is where I'm going to be focused. And
that's awesome to hear, because that's the important thing. We're seeing so much policy coming from Sacramento, particularly from the business side, the small business side, where it's little things that are impacting small businesses, and one thing after another, after another, and suddenly there's this giant mound, and of course we're seeing businesses and retired folks leaving the state.
Yeah, it's very hard to retire in California, but on the business end, a good amount of public policy is understanding context too. And so staying in touch with our local constituencies is a really, really high priority for me. So we will be bringing folks in roundtables and in panel conversations, staying very connected to our small business community, because it's those one or two extra things that make the difference in whether a business can stay open, has to close, or can expand by an employee or not. So being very mindful of that. It's very different in the larger corporate context, but for mid and small size businesses, we need to be mindful that we have an environment that's friendly, that gets folks to yes, that allows them to innovate, that allows them to expand. So that's something that's a high priority, and I'm really hoping I do get on that Jobs and the Economy committee.
Terrific. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you and visiting you up in Sacramento.
Looking forward to it in
is gonna
March.
come-
Yep.
March is going to
The
come
bus is
around really
coming.
quickly. Any final questions, Devin?
I
Or
think
are you
I'm good.
complete?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look forward to
Fantastic.
seeing what you do. I know you just started off, and look forward to seeing these next 2 years.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Assemblywoman Christy Smith, representing us here in Santa Clarita. And we look forward. Oh, one last thing. So you're naming part of your staff, but you have not yet named your representative for down here in Santa
For
Clarita.
Santa Clarita, right. We're going to be interviewing in the first few weeks of January, and we should be fully staffed up.
But you've taken over our former Assemblyman.
Yes,
Dante
that's
Costa's
correct. Anybody
offices.
looking to locate us can use the same contact information as it was for Assemblymember Acosta. We are in the same building on Turney Road, Suite 160. I believe it's 27441 Turney, Suite 160.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Well, Merry Christmas and thank you for
Happy
joining
holidays.
us.
Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
soon.